We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, Bitcoin has broken out above a very important level of resistance, and we are extremely excited to bring you guys some analysis on this market because with Bitcoin breaking above this level of resistance, Bitcoin has now, especially with the last 24 hours of price action, confirmed that an uptrend is forming, and we have certainly confirmed that the Bitcoin bulls are dominant. So today we're going to be talking about this massive rally that Bitcoin is experiencing. We're going to look at the impacts that it's had on the altcoin space, and we're also going to talk about how we can apply wisdom to this movement to make some money and make some profit. I am very excited to be here today, guys. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jeb McAfee. I've been working in the cryptocurrency space for over 6 years now and doing analysis on those markets pretty much every single day ever since. We've got almost 2,500 videos on this channel, and we've been sharing with you guys the tips and tricks and techniques to understand technical analysis for all of that time. And if you stay tuned, you're going to learn a lot about technical analysis so that you can understand how the markets work, where they're moving, where they're going next, and most importantly, how to trade in them and invest in them for a profit. So make sure that you stay tuned. We've got a lot to talk about. Very excited to be here today. So let's go ahead and read some chat, introduce some people. Crypto Nebs said, good morning from gray old London. At least the candles are green, though. Absolutely. Marley 123rd is in chat. Mean Beam Okerlund is in chat. RJ, Joe Bollier, Connor Smethurst, Pew Pew Poom 2. The French Toast Breakfast Club in chat. Brandon Sandoval said, good morning, Jeb and Finsaw family. Goran Domanjko said, hello from Slovenia. Well, cool. Shout out to Slovenia. Silva Dalla's in chat. Quinn Daughtery's in chat. Jack Walker's in chat. Def Sky's in chat. Brian Barrett is in chat. Richard Jacobson. Blaine O. Christopher. Richard. Igor Durkach. I'm not sure. To the moon? Question mark? Well, we'll talk about that. Vintage Excellence said, doing better than yesterday. The Dusty Hunts in chat. Florida Strong. Shout out to my home state of Florida. Vintage Excellence, Brief Crypto, Queen, Crypto Val, Micah Mann, Sergio, not sure, One House Productions, and so many more. Mattis S, Pete Schwartz, and Mr. Check 1984. Thank you guys so very much. Thank you guys so very much for all of the support. Let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap and talk a little bit about these markets because, my goodness, do we have some rallies coming in, and it is exciting because the bulls are obviously in charge here. Bitcoin is up 10% over the last 7 days. Much of that action has taken place in the last 2 days. Over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin is up 5%. And the same thing is happening right now with Ethereum. Ethereum is up 8.27% in the last 7 days, and it is currently trading at about $2,500. We were above $2,500 not long ago, and Ethereum is obviously doing very, very well. Of course, there is quite a lot of excitement that we very well may see a Ethereum ETF. We have one in application mode right now from BlackRock, and so BlackRock has pretty much never been denied an ETF, so it's going to be interesting to see whether that comes to fruition, and I do expect a lot of bullish price action to come to Ethereum over the course of the next couple of weeks and months. Binance is currently trading at $323, up 7.11% over the last 7 days. Solana's at 105. There is a strong level of resistance immediately above Solana that it needs to break above. But in general, it is trading at $45 billion. It is up nearly 5% in the last 7 days. XRP up 4% in the last 7. Cardano up 5% in the last 7. Avalanche up 2% in the last 7. Tron up 5% in the last 7. Chainlink has calmed down. Went through a massive rally last week. It is now starting to go through a slight retracement over the last hour. But in large part, it is still much higher than it was not long ago. Polygon and Polkadot both up about 5% over the last 7 days. What CoinMarketCap tells us so far is that Bitcoin and Ethereum, the big caps, are obviously the ones that are leading this charge. This is a Bitcoin movement, and the altcoins are following it. Bitcoin is well on its way back up to $1 trillion in market capitalization, which would put it in a league that very few ever achieve. There's only a handful of companies worth over $1 trillion, and there's only a handful of commodities markets that are regularly traded that are worth over $1 trillion. And Bitcoin is about to become one of them, again, within potentially the next couple of days to weeks. One of the things I want to mention is the Bitcoin dominance. As you can see on the charts here over on CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin dominance has been on the move over the last month, and quite substantially so, actually. Let's see if CoinMarketCap is actually going to give us the data that we need here. You can see that that Bitcoin's dominance here at the beginning of the month, around the second of the month or so, was at 51.11. Ever since then, it has jumped up to about 52. So we've gained about 1% on market dominance at the same time that we've set a higher high and higher low on Fear and Greed Index. See the higher high and the higher low right here. We had a low at 49, then a low at 54. We had a high at 58, and then a high at 61. So Fear and Greed's on its way up. Bitcoin's on its way up. All of those are very bullish technical factors for the Bitcoin market, because whenever the market goes into a major bull market, it generally begins with a Bitcoin rally. Bitcoin is normally the power stroke that kicks off the entire chain reaction, and then the altcoins get some of that spillover. People make a lot of money in Bitcoin, and then they'll take that money and they'll redeploy it after taking profits from Bitcoin into the altcoins, which have lagged behind, and then the altcoins will go through a massive rally. And this is how investors and swing traders have been doing it for years in cryptocurrency. You will ride a movement on Bitcoin, take some profits, jump into the altcoins, which are lagging behind, get a second wave, and then sell everything, let it crash for a month or two, and then rinse and repeat. And that's how a lot of people swing trade bull markets. And it's something that you can do as well. I think that you're perfectly capable of that, although it does take quite a lot of time and investment of education to learn how to do that reliably. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin itself. So let's go ahead and jump on over to TradingView, and we shall see how Bitcoin is faring. As you guys know, Bitcoin has been absolutely going parabolic over the course of the last 4 days. Over the last 2 weeks, we had been talking about how Bitcoin was still technically in a downtrend because it had not set a higher, it had not broken above certain levels yet. But the second that Bitcoin started breaking 44.3 to 44.7, and the second that we saw a Lux Algo buy signal come in, which we now have right here, as is evidenced by the Lux Algo buy signal right there. As soon as we saw the Lux Algo buy signal come in, and as soon as we broke above 44.3 to 44.7, which is this zone right here between these two blue lines, as soon as we broke that, that would have been our confirmation that Bitcoin was about to go into a major uptrend. And as you can see, as soon as we broke above 44.7 at 8 a.m. yesterday, Bitcoin went on to rally $850 in 3 short hours. From that confirmation that we gave you over the last, we gave you that 2 weeks ago. Ever since we had that confirmation, Bitcoin rallied $3,000, up 7% in just a little over 24 hours. Major movement. It's been one of the most bullish days on record this year for Bitcoin, which is not hard because we've been in a downtrend all year, right? But even in the last several months, going back even into November, this is one of the largest uptrends in this time that we have seen. In this short of time that we have seen. And if we look at some of our other charts here, you're going to see very evidently where this is coming from and where this is going. Cotton Eye Joe. If you go down to the hourly chart, you will see that there was this symmetrical triangle pattern that we've been talking about for weeks. Even back when we were on vacation last week, we were going over this over and over and over and over and over again. A lot of bullish factors were in play. We just didn't have the confirmation. We wanted to see the confirmation of 44.3 to 44.7, but it was starting to look like the bulls were kind of getting some momentum. Part of the reason for that was because we had this symmetrical triangle pattern with a flagpole. And if you remember, we gave you a price target of $48,000. If Bitcoin breaks bullish here above this downtrending level of resistance, then what we said, you can go back on the stream a week ago, videos we shot a week ago, and you'll see us talking about this back over here when the market looked like this. We were talking about this. This is what we were saying. We were saying with a chart that looked like this, if Bitcoin breaks this downtrend, rallies up to 44.3 to 44.7, and breaks through it, then you're going on a major rally and you're pointing at 48. Well, if you zoom forward, that's pretty much what happened. You give it a little bit of time here, and Bitcoin goes up and tests the downtrending level of resistance. The 2 days before we saw the breakout, I told you guys, look, a massive movement's coming in the next week or two, probably just in the next couple of days, but to be conservative, probably in the next couple of weeks. But most likely in the next couple of days, we see the breakout. Price target's pointing at 48. So far, we've hit 47, and 48 could be coming any day now for reasons we'll talk about in just a minute. In fact, it could be coming any minute now. for reasons we'll talk about in just a minute. There was also this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which some of you guys pointed out was not the most beautiful inverse head and shoulders pattern, but it was still kind of an inverse H&S. And the reason for that is that the inverse head and shoulders pattern is actually basically just like a valley, and it doesn't have to look perfect to really have predictive power. The price target on this was 49. So our price targets that we were giving you guys was 46. If we broke 46, we're going to 48 to 49. Excuse me. Actually, we said if we break 46, we're going to 47 because we have this level of resistance right here at 47,250. And then there is also inverse Fibonacci that you can see right here around 46.5. But we also gave you the price targets of 48 to 49. So now we have to talk about why Bitcoin might actually be going to 48 to 49. And that has everything to do with this red trend line. This trend line is ridiculously important, and you might look at it and say, what is that? Like, why is that so important? What's the deal with that? Well, if you go out on the daily chart, you'll see suddenly how significant this trend line is. It is a very, very, very important trend line for many different reasons, but one of the main reasons is because of its longevity and because of what it represents. If you look at this trend line, you will be able to see that Bitcoin has respected this trend line for over a year, for about 15 months. This trend line has a pivot point here on this the about $17,000 to $16,000 drop that we saw at the very end of 2022. We have a set point here in March of 23. We have another touch here at around $25,000 in mid-June. We have another touch here where we originally fell below it here in August of 23. Then we rally up, used it as resistance. As the ETF looks more and more likely, we break above it. And if we zoom in here, you will be able to see that we use it as support. Wrong button. You'll be able to see here that we use it as support time and time again. And then going back down into our shorter term time frames, you can see I have it on every single chart here. Going back into our shorter term time frames, it now becomes relevant once again because, and it happens to be the same color on these two different charts. If you look at this trend line, you can see we broke through it. We broke through that trend line, and we broke through $46,000, two very important levels of resistance. We rallied up to 47.2, which was one of the levels that we said we'd stop out at. I mean, guys, I don't mean to just say we called everything, because we didn't. I mean, like I said, we were still bearish until we broke above 44.7. But of course, I mean, that's what technical analysis would have you to do. That's what you do. You wait for confirmation. But everything that we've told you was going to happen, happened. In one of the ways that we said that it would. The levels we said that Bitcoin would stop out at, that's where Bitcoin went. The trend lines that would be important, that's what we said would be important. The indicator, the chart formations that we said would probably send us to certain levels have sent us to certain levels. Technical analysis works, guys. I don't want any of the glory. This is technical analysis at play. My job is simply to reveal it to you, not to toot my own horn. I'm not trying to make myself out to be some great technical analyst. You guys can do this too. All right, this is just TA at play, and so I want the glory to go to that, not to myself. But the point is, it does work. This level at 47.2 was a level that we've talked about extensively because of our resistance touches here. As you can see, that's exactly where we're pausing. We're pausing right there at that level, coming back, back testing, retracing back down to this red uptrending level of support. What does this mean? Well, that means that this leg of the rally is probably over for now. Bitcoin's probably going to flag out here and consolidate, but I think that it will continue to move to the upside towards $50,000. If you remember, we used an ABC Elliot wave corrective formation to talk about how Bitcoin might go through a correction. Now we can look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 wave impulse, a 2-wave corrective movement, 3-wave impulse, 4-wave corrective movement, 5th wave up to $49,000 to $50,000, and a couple of crazy things happen when you get there. Guess what happens when you break 50K? Well, you broke the level that is the halfway point to $100,000. Number 2, you broke the bull market high that was set by the ETF. Number 3, when you see Bitcoin break through $50,000, you're also going to break through on the total charts. If you look at total, actually, let's just do Bitcoin market dominance, total 1. Excuse me, not total 1. If we look at BTC market dominance, let's see, the best place to look at would probably be on TradingView. We go look at Bitcoin's market dominance here. Let's see. Then you will see very quickly that the market cap, I said market dominance, excuse me, I meant to say market capitalization. You'll see very clearly that $1 trillion in market capitalization is a pretty important level that we're very close to. I hope that you can see that very clearly. $1 trillion is this line right about here. I'll just draw it over here. The tooltip does not want to get out of the way, but as you can see, this is $1 trillion. All right, we're getting back into the levels and the territories that we were in during the last bull market. And I do think that Bitcoin is going to be able to break well out of $1 trillion and well beyond. And a big part of the reason that is happening is due to gold. Now, if you've been on CoinMarketCap, you've probably seen this article that's about to pop up right about now. Let's see if it shows up. Ooh, There it is. Kathy Wood says investors are shifting from gold to Bitcoin. This is a pretty big deal, and it's true. There's a lot of people that are shifting from gold ETFs to Bitcoin ETFs. Why? Well, gold, quite frankly, just doesn't look like it has as much opportunity as Bitcoin. If you go on over here and you look at the GLD, SPDR Gold Trust, and we take a look at this chart looks kind of good, I guess. It's got an uptrend. I mean, it's a symmetrical triangle pattern. There's all kinds of wars and rumors of wars going on right now. And, there's this uptrend on gold that's pretty appealing. And so people are thinking, oh, gee whiz, we're going to have a breakout on gold. And you know what? It might rally over the course of the next 5 years. Yeah, look at that. It might rally like 20%. Shoot, man, that's great. Hedge against inflation, am I right, guys? And then all the gold bugs get in the bar, and they're like, yeah, God, oh, yeah, me too, yeah, and then the gold bugs go, it's going to go up 20%. And you know what the other guy says? The other guy walks in and says, and he like puts on the aviators, and you got the electric guitar playing in the background, and Bad to the Bone, Bad to the Bone's playing on. He's got the sunglasses on. He says, I bought Bitcoin. It's going to go up 200%. And all the gold bugs say, what? And you know what they do? They say, really? And the Bitcoin guy goes in and says, yeah, well, it just doubled in 4 months. And the gold guys say, what? Well, gold doubled? Look, gold doubled. And the Bitcoin guy says, yeah, what, in 9 years? And the gold guys say, 8 of them say, screw you. The one of them says, well, you know what? He might have a point. And then, the next week comes and the Bitcoin guy left because he's got better things to do, like, floating around on his yacht he bought with his Bitcoin returns. And the one guy that bought Bitcoin says, man, I just made $5 million. All the gold bugs say, what? And then you get another one, and another one, and another one. And before you know it, everybody's over there buying Bitcoin. And the reason for that is very simple. Bitcoin's a good product. It's a good investment. It's a good commodity to purchase. Is there a lot of volatility in crypto? Yes. Is volatility a bad thing? No, it's not. Having too much risk and too little return is a bad thing. Having high volatility is not necessarily a bad thing. You just need to actually know whether it's going to be volatile generally in the upwards direction. The other thing I'll mention here is that while we're talking about gold, if we look at gold, when the ETF launched, which is basically since the inception of this chart, when the ETF launched, because this is the gold ETF, so this is the chart of gold after the ETF, right? It's the original gold ETF. Gold is trading at 44 points, 45, whatever. I think they started trading at 45, was it? 45? Yeah, about 45. Started trading at 44.4, right? That's what it was pegged at when it started, as far as on the points, because this isn't dollar, et cetera. Well, it is dollars, excuse me, but it's not spot price. Gold would rally 322% in the span of the next 6-7 years. In the span of the next 6 or 7 years. Bitcoin is a much younger asset. It's a much younger market with, to be honest with you, a much larger opportunity than gold has. Nobody is doing transactions in gold, and a lot of people aren't doing it in Bitcoin. I hear you, but listen, there's more people doing transactions in Bitcoin than in gold. Are you kidding me? Yes, there is. Gold has some use case right now in the modern economy. For example, if you're Vladimir Putin and you're trying to buy oil and nobody wants to let you use their currency, then you just fly a plane full of gold over and you pay for it like that. But that's about the only major use case of gold right now. Other than that, it's sitting in reserves and people invest in it. And yes, of course, it absolutely does have an industrial use in electronics. And so that's true. But much of the market capitalization that that gold was going to capture, gold has already captured. And so that's not the same case for Bitcoin. Bitcoin just had its ETF go online. And so what I will encourage you guys to do is if you don't have Bitcoin already, I very much encourage you to accrue some Bitcoin. I know some of you guys that have altcoins and you don't have Bitcoin. And while I think it's good to have certain altcoins, I think there's a lot of altcoins that are going to perform very well. I do think that it is a mistake not to hold Bitcoin in your portfolio because I am not so much concerned about what you do in this bull market. I'm concerned about what you do over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Right? I'm concerned about you getting to the point where you're 70 or 80 years old and you're looking back and you're saying, wow, I wasn't stupid. And then you get to be so happy because you get to say that. But most people, when they get to the age of 80, they say, man, I was a fool. I wish I could do that again with all I know. I'd rather teach you that where you are now. I'm so happy to have the wisdom that I have at such a young age because I get to enjoy the fruits thereof for the rest of my life. In the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, the Bible says, all her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. Speaking about wisdom, happy is the man that findeth wisdom and getteth understanding. Happy is he that gains wisdom. So I encourage you, accrue wisdom, and allow that wisdom to direct your decision as to whether or not you should buy Bitcoin. And I personally think it is a very good idea to put some portion of your portfolio in it. I will also say that there's a whole lot more to becoming a millionaire or retiring early or just retiring at all or etc., getting out of debt, than investing in crypto. We mainly talk about crypto, but I also talk about the broad spectrum of financial sovereignty, which is a lot more than just crypto. It's personal finance, it's budgeting, it's getting out of debt, it's taking low-hanging fruit, it's systems, it's habits, it's structure. So what I'll encourage you guys to do is, while Bitcoin is rallying, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Enjoy the fruits of the investments that you have made, and if you want to take some profits, go for it. I think Bitcoin will go a lot farther, but I am still very excited for you guys, and I think you're going to do very well in the coming bull market. Let's read some chat, and then we will continue on with all of our content. Jeb is the GOAT. Grim Reaper of Bitcoin, harvest in springtime for his family. Yes, that's what our goal is. Look, guys, the Bible says that a wise man, actually, I think it says a good man, harvests during the summertime and harvests when there are things to harvest so that he doesn't have to be a pauper, i.e. a beggar, when the winter comes. And Proverbs talks about this because, you know, ancient Israel was a very agrarian society, and most societies throughout history have been very agrarian. And I think that God created the agrarian realm so that, for many reasons, but also so that he could use it for teaching. And one of the lessons there is that back in that day, pretty much everybody lived on their own farm or they were a shepherd. And they either had cattle, i.e. cows, sheep, goats, etc., or they grew things in a field, or they maybe had a vineyard, right? That was normally a more rich thing back in ancient Israel. And so if you were in one of those professions, you gathered up as much as you could before the cold came, because when the cold came, your animals, you didn't really want to kill them, right? You didn't want to slaughter them and eat them. You wanted to make sure that there were enough of them there. There weren't new creatures coming. You had to make sure that you bred enough of them, and they grew enough during that time, so that if you needed to slaughter some during the winter to eat, then you had them there. They were born in the spring, and they had the year to grow up, and then you had them there, right? You want to make sure that you harvested and create a large enough flock and herd during the summer. Same thing with a farmer. You wanted to store up enough in your barns so that when the winter came, you had enough to make it until the next time that not only you planted, but the next time you harvested. And there were plenty of times where people were so lazy that they would not plant and they would not grow their herd. And so when winter came, they got decimated. They lost everything that they had, and they, instead of being able to make it through the winter to the next year, they became beggars, and they had to beg on the streets, and they would starve to death. I mean, it's real life, guys. And so I don't want you guys to wind up in that situation. So I want you to harvest during the summertime, which is where we're moving into. But to harvest in the summertime, you've got to plant right now. All right. Hey, CJ, have you been following the green candles on Pulse Chain? Looks like it's heating up. Oh, Pulse Chain. Oh, Pulse Chain. You know, I've met Richard Hart, and I don't think to this day I have said one thing on YouTube about him. Don't think I've mentioned it one time. Don't think I've said a single thing about it. Don't think I've said a single thing about Hex. Don't think I've said a single thing about Richard Hart. You know why? What is that the proverb says? A fool meddleth in something that is in a strife that is not his own. But a wise man shutteth his mouth. Well, something to that effect. So here's the deal. I'm not going to give you an opinion on Hex and Pulse. What I will say is, here's the chart. Here's the chart. Okay? Max supply, untapped. Market capitalization went to $80 billion. Currently 1.4. Not really sure how it's even at 1.4 billion, to be honest with you. Seems a little bit strange considering it's ranked number 200. What? That doesn't even make sense, CoinMarketCap. Wait, what? Hang on, we gotta look into this. There's some tomfoolery going on here. Is it 140 million? Did I read the... What? Huh? What the... Why is that... Okay, does anybody know why this is happening? This is weird. Why is all this stuff saying it's more valuable on market cap? Lido staked... Oh, that's staked. Okay. I'm a little bit confused why that says 1.4 billion. But nevertheless, just look at the chart. Just look at the chart. Make your own conclusions. Make your own conclusions. Read the Bible. Line it up. Here, I'll give you a quote. To deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh froward things. Who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked, whose ways are froward and they crooked in their path. Jumping down, that thou may walk in the way of good men and keep the paths of the upright. That's all I'll say on the matter of Pulse Chain, Hex, and Richard Hart. That is all I will say on all of that. And I will also say that this chart tells a lot. And Pulse Chain, I don't know as much about Pulse Chain as I do about Hex, to be fair. Don't have as much of an opinion on Pulse Chain. I'm not going to tell you my opinion on Hex and Richard Hart. Not going to tell you. Not going to tell you. But yes. Pulse Chain, real DeFi, no insider VP token unlocks to dump your head, free bridge. Hey, it might have great tech. I don't know. I really don't. Really not sure. Really not sure. I could be wrong. I could be missing something on Pulse Chain. I am wise enough to know when to keep my mouth shut because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I won't even comment on Pulse Chain. All right, let's read some chat. When will Bitcoin correct so we can buy more? Well, we did just see the correction. We're going to have to see how Bitcoin responds to $50,000, $49,000 and $50,000, because if Bitcoin does rally up to $49,000 and $50,000, that's kind of the last stop where Bitcoin would likely see a correction. If we break above that, then you're probably going to see a continued rally. Someone said, you tell us with your eyes. Oh, I wasn't trying to stop you from telling you with my eyes. I wasn't trying to stop you from learning anything. I just said I wasn't going to say anything. You guys are welcome to read between the lines all you want. But nobody can quote me on nothing. A no answer is an answer, and you can read between the lines. Oh my goodness. I love Richard Hart, and like I said, I have met him, and I definitely pray for the best for him. All right, let's read some chat, and then we're going to continue along here. I love interacting with you guys. It's my favorite part of the entire stream. Let's see. Core CPI next week, people, just so you know. Yep. Jeb is seeing with his eyes. Wait a minute. I got to remind myself of something. What is that? My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. I just read that this morning. That's right. I think that's what you were referencing there. Tell me if I'm wrong. Pete Schwartz. Have you seen the gas fees on Pulse? I have not. All right. I want a really good question. I want a really good question that I can just dig deep into. That's what I want. So let's see it in chat. Give me your best questions, or you can give me a scenario and ask my opinion on it. But I want something really deep that I can just kind of dig into and sink my teeth into for you guys for the last 10 minutes here. Happy Chinese New Year. Yeah, happy Chinese New Year. Yeah. February 10th, it looks like it is this year. The Lantern Festival is on the 24th. Yeah, starting tomorrow. Chinese New Year. Yeah. So Bitcoin, I have not been able to see a super discernible trend because of Chinese New Year. In fact, Chinese New Year 2023. I have to remember what day it was. 22nd of January. From what I see, it was the 22nd of January last year, which, to be honest with you, there's like nothing of note that happened on the 22nd of January last year. We continued an uptrend. So, yeah, I would want to look more into that to see how that would impact things. It is coming, but we'll see on that. All right. Hey, CJ, what's your opinion as to when mortgage rates will go down? They're going to go down. They are going to go down because the interest rates are going to go down. In the December Federal Open Market Committee press release, Jerome Powell put up a slide. It's a graphic, so you can go find the picture of it, where it was a poll of, at each individual meeting, where did each member of the FOMC predict that the interest rates would be? And I believe every single one of the members of the Federal Open Market Committee, that being the people that actually set the interest rate, the Federal Open Market Committee, they set the effective federal funds rate. Every single one of them predicted that interest rates would be lower by the end of next year than they are right now. Every single one of them. If I recall correctly, I could be wrong, but if it wasn't every one of them, it was all but like one of them. I do believe it was every single one of them predicted that we would see a drop in interest rates. And on average, I believe they predicted about a 0.75% drop, 75 basis points worth of drop. Of course, that'd be 3 drops. And so when those more interest rates start going down, that'll stimulate economic activity, and you will likely see mortgage rates go down. If you look at mortgage rates right now, let's see, a good place to look is just kind of like right here on Google. You see, in general, they've already come down and cooled off a little bit. Not as much as we would like, of course, but 30-year fixed, let's just look at 30-year fixed. 30-year fixed has come down from 8.5% down to about 7.5%, which is very exciting. And so when you start to see the Federal Open Market Committee dropping interest rates, you're likely going to see interest rates dropping once again. A lot of times interest rates stay around 2.5% or so on a 30-year fixed, about 2.5% above the effective federal funds rate. Part of the reason that this started dropping is because they were raised. They generally went up in anticipation of more rate hikes, but the rate hikes actually stopped, and so they kind of came back down to baseline right around 2 or so, 2 to 3% above the actual effective federal funds rate, which is at 5.25. So 5.25 up to 7.6. You know, it's about a 2.4. So that's right about normal. They're probably going to stay right around here until we start seeing rate drops. You can pretty much bet on interest rates being 2 to 3% above Federal Open Market Committee. I'm sorry, effective federal funds rate interest rates almost at all times. The effective federal funds rate, and I believe I've never actually looked at this on TradingView, but surely there's a mortgage rates. Somebody, if you know the I should look into that. That's honestly a chart that I ought to have. But surely there's here we go. Mortgage 30. Ah! Interesting. Okay, let's see. This is from Freddie. Okay, this is from Freddie Mac. 30-year fixed rate mortgage average in the United States. Yes, so this is helpful. Okay, this is what I was looking for. So you can see these are the mortgage rates for the past, I don't know, 50 years. And you can see they were absolutely just crashing for years and years and years. And by the way, this is one of the worst things that ever happened to the United States. You know why? You know why? Because it made this and many other things were one of the things that made people a lot more interested in debt. Yes, it stimulated the economy, but when you teach people to stimulate the economy by borrowing from your future, then you get on the path that Jerome Powell himself said is unsustainable. Jerome Powell himself recently, I don't know if you saw that, Jerome Powell himself recently said that the rate that the United States is on is unsustainable when it comes to our debt. He said in, 30 years, we'll be at $140 trillion freaking dollars in debt. I remember when I was in 8th grade, I had a teacher named Mr. Akins, and I tell you what, that guy was awesome, so don't think I'm about to bad talk him, because I'm not. But he did make a mistake, and he asked in the classroom. He asked in the classroom, everybody, what's the national debt? And I think at the time, we got a time machine right here. Let's go back to the time machine. This was in 2012, probably. What was it? $16 trillion. That's right. $16 trillion. He asked everybody, what's the national debt? And this was, 12 years ago, but this website still existed 12 years ago, and I knew about it, and I'd seen it, and my dad was always talking about it because it drove him up a wall, too. The national debt was $16 trillion back then. He asked, what's the national debt? I said, ooh, me. And I said, it's $16 trillion, Mr. Akins, thinking I was going to get a pat on the back. And he said, no, you're wrong. It's like $2 trillion. But that's crazy, guys, isn't it? $2 trillion is so much money. And I was like, what? That's not right. You're wrong. And so he came to me the next day and he apologized because he went and checked. And he's like, oh, I was wrong. He was right. So he apologized. But the point is, $16 trillion in debt. This is a lot. Look at this number and fear. $16 trillion in debt. All right, that is $8,000 a year in interest per person. Okay? $51,000 per citizen. $157,000 per taxpayer. Because remember, most citizens, and literally most citizens, are not actually taxpayers. They are very young, or they're not, making money, etc. Now, $16 trillion, that sounds like a lot, right? Well, did you forget that was... did you forget that was 2012? That's not today. Today it's $34 trillion. $264,000 per citizen. I'm sorry, per taxpayer. That is absolutely freaking insane. We have a $1.7 trillion deficit that's going up by $5,000 every month, like we're playing freaking cookie clicker or something. In 2012, there was $1 trillion deficit. How do you spend $1 trillion more every year than you bring in? Tell me that's not a huge problem. So why did this get brought up? I got to remember why it's brought up in the first place because I just started ranting about it. As far as the mortgage rates are concerned, we have gotten so used to just taking out a bunch of debt and borrowing from the future. And it's become such an ingrained part of our society, and so many of us do it, that the government does it because guess what? The government is a constituent. The government's constituents are the taxpayers that themselves are putting themselves in $250,000 of debt that they don't have money to cover. Right? It's not like the government has $34 trillion of debt and a $34 trillion bank account and they just go whoosh, and boom, it's paid off. No. They're underwater. The United States net worth is negative $34 trillion. How does anybody get that? How is that even possible? So, anyway, I can go off all day, but the point is, mortgage rates are coming down slightly. But to be honest with you, you're probably going to see interest rates and mortgage rates stay higher. They're going to try and drop them, but they can't do it for too long because they've got this whole freaking debt cycle. That's a lot of quarters for the laundromat. That's right. Big and expanding government. That's how. With a government that has absolutely no interest in wisdom. No interest in wisdom. None whatsoever. I don't think you're in sin for using debt. I've used debt. We use debt, right? But what I will say is that there is not a single place in the entire Bible that talks about debt being a good thing. Every single place that debt is brought up in the Bible, it is associated, maybe not every single place is associated with this, but pretty much the teaching of the Bible is that when you're in debt, you are under control by someone else. What we teach is financial sovereignty, which it means being in control of yourself. I just did a coaching call yesterday with someone. I won't say who, but it's a little tiny bit of debt, just a little bit. And everything else paid off. They're a great situation. A little tiny bit of debt. I said, you're so close. This is a real conversation I had. I was sitting right here yesterday. I'm like, you're so close. And he might be watching. I'm not going to say the name or anything. I won't get specific because things are confidential. But I said, you're so close. You're so close. You're so close being out of debt. That debt has control over you. Pay it off. Right now, government has debt, which means that people are pulling on them that they shouldn't be. That's not including unfunded liabilities. Yeah. Yeah, for real. You want to talk about unfunded liabilities? Good Lord. What I think Debt Clock mentions that over here. Let's see. I think it has something here for unfunded liabilities. I don't know. Total U.S. debt, almost $100 trillion. Oh my goodness. U.S. total national assets, 188 trillion. Assets per citizen, 500. Liabilities per citizen. Unfunded U.S. liabilities, $212 trillion. That is ridiculous. You see that? $212 trillion. Absolutely crazy. $212 trillion. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and read some chat. Do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We're about to wrap it out. 80 trillion with Social Security and Medicare. Yep. See, Grand Day, Jeff. Hello, everyone. Grand Day to you also, Sweet Ben a Bear. Grand Day to you as well. The fact that debt is that high on the dollar ensures that crypto will maintain value. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Imagine only relying on liquidity to make money. Yep. Let's see. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's stream. It has been a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to seeing you guys continue to succeed in the coming bull market. Let's see. First of the day. Let's see. Let's see. Romans 6:11. Therefore, likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed to sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. If you've given your life to the Lord, you are now dead to sin, which means you don't have to serve it anymore, and you're free of it. Go talk to a pastor about that one. That's a good one. They told us in the 80s that we won't get Social Security. We'll be broken by then. Yeah. It's, yeah. Oh, man, it's sad. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Oh, I know that one. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall guide. Wait. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. There you go, Dr. Ada's daddy. That's it. Buy signal on Lux Algo weekly yet. Let's see. Let's see here. It's a great verse, by the way. Not yet. Great question. Not yet. I'd like to see that soon, though, and I think we will see it soon. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that, and also stay tuned for when we launch our very own indicator with Lux Algo. Very excited to be doing that. All right, guys. A lot to do, so very excited. Before we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. Before we do, I do want to let you know to sign up for NordVPN. NordVPN is one of the sponsors of this channel, and they are amazing. And the reason for that is because we believe in something called sovereignty. When God created the universe, he created a scripture called Genesis 1:28, and it says, "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and what? And subdue it, and have dominion," i.e. kingship, "over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." What we learn from that is that we are to be the kings of the world. We should do it with meekness, which is what we're also commanded to do in other parts of Scripture, but we are called to subdue it, the earth that he just made, like 3 verses before, and we're called to have dominion over it. We are called to be in control and to be kings, not to be a tyrant, not to be a despot, but a loving and faithful and meek steward. We are called to be in charge of it and have control over it in a meek way, in a way that is glorifying to God. When we are signing up for things like NordVPN, we are helping ourselves to be in control of the things around us. We help our IP address to stay in our control instead of it being visible to everybody. We help our cryptocurrency to stay in our own control and to have dominion over our cryptocurrency because we make it harder for hackers to come in and steal it, which is a good thing to do if you're trying to be a good steward of wealth. Stopping people from stealing it is like step 1, right? So making sure that you have some security there is very important. NordVPN is a great product that will help you to stay secure, private, and safe from hackers online. So sign up with the link in the description box down below. And also, guys, make sure to sign up for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, where you can learn how to do all the TA that you just saw today. Sign up with the link in the description box down below. Shadrach Frost said, Jeb, thank you for another great stream. Folks, love each other and be kind. I hope everyone's a blessed day and weekend. Hashtag God bless. Hashtag DCA. Hashtag CT2A. Absolutely. And I also want to say thank you to Chance Nelson for donating $1.99. Thank you so very much for that. Really appreciate all of you guys. We're going to wrap it out, but before we do, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling.